Okay, so we have a few people here. Ahang is here. Hi, Ahang. Thank you
Hello.
for thank you for being here.
My
I
pleasure.
want to apologize on behalf of Mirabel Mora. She was supposed to be on this panel and to discuss students' self-confidence and self-development, but due to the events that are happening in Nigeria right now, she's not able to be with us. So we're sending her the warmest thoughts from the Africa Kudwik family and sending some support to the people in Nigeria who are living difficult and challenging times. So with me, I have the co-founder of the Clicking Generation, Agang Ditlhogo. I don't know if I pronounce your name correctly.
Ditlhogo. Close enough. Good enough. It works.
Hey, you. Okay, my bad. If you want to introduce yourself a little bit to our audience, they know that you're the ambassador for Botswana, but what do you do? And yeah, can you introduce yourself a little bit?
Hi, everybody. My name is Agang Ditlhogo. I'm from Botswana, and I'm the co-founder of the Clicking Generation. So the Clicking Generation is an ICT academy for kids and teens. We work with kids and teens to give them the skills that are necessary for them to advance in innovation and creativity. And one cool thing that we do is to explore coding and all the fourth industrial revolution methodologies so that they can be prepared to partake in the global innovation space.
Cool.
Yeah.
This is very cool. This is very cool. So we've been working with Mirabel on designing 5 life hacks for teachers who would like to boost their students' self-confidence, because what we realized is that in the context of the pandemic and COVID-19, learning from home was not easy for everybody, but especially for the ones who don't really have the self-confidence to realize that it's important for them to work on their future. And a lot of that is because they don't realize that they have the potential to do things by themselves. And sometimes in the classroom, especially in Africa and in countries where we have large classrooms, it's very difficult for a teacher to address mental health and the struggles that one or a group of students could have when it comes to developing their capacities. So I'm going to share my screen because we have these 5 life hacks that I want to discuss today with you. There we are. So the questions that arose was, what are the consequences of low self-confidence? How does self-confidence impact you as a student, but you as a teacher when you see that your students are struggling, and in fact your responsibility is to help them grow into responsible adults and educated people. So a few issues that we found was that students who had low self-confidence had trouble thriving and setting ambitions and goals for themselves, be they unrealistic goals, too high, too low, and in general, very low ambition for themselves. They also had issues expressing their needs, and it was difficult for them to ask for help and advice. And we can imagine that in the context of a pandemic, it's even harder for students to voice their issues and whatever they're going through at home or in the classroom, if it's a virtual classroom. And generally, students who don't have self-confidence, they will have difficulty seeing their own potential. And when I say own potential, it means that they will not be able to see their worth as a person and as an educated person for the things that they know. They will rather focus on the things that they don't know, and they will have issues acknowledging what they did good and what they achieved, and they will have difficulties celebrating their achievements, which is important when you are on a learning process. And eventually for some of them, they will have issues relating with their immediate environment, and that means their friends, their classmates, and the teaching community. They will feel estranged to everything that's going on around them. Is that your understanding of the issues caused by low self-confidence, Ahang?
Yes. So low confidence in children is rooted maybe from their environment and their surrounding. I believe kids, teens, especially in classrooms, need to be appreciated that they're very unique. So a child doesn't recognize their uniqueness, and therefore they don't even dream, you know. So it's very important to build that self confidence, because if you don't, what I've seen is it goes on to adulthood. So it leaves the
Mm,
classroom. You grow with it. You grow with it, and then you are all grown up. You are an adult, but you still have the suppressing feeling that I'm not good enough. So the
mm,
job really starts at home. So you need, just from a very tender age, you need to be equipped with just being told. Of course, you're not going to be told you are great all the time. You are supposed to be corrected here and there. But when you know that you can do anything, you can go out and be the very best that you can be. So, for an example, I always say that um, culturally, I'll talk of the context of maybe Southern Africa or Botswana. We are very timid people. We are not allowed, or we don't allow the next person to celebrate the achievement, even in the
mm,
classroom, you know. So you don't get a kid raising up their hand to say, hey, teacher, I don't understand this concept, because it's all about how are other people going to be looking at me, what is the perception of the next person. So I think it really starts from the home. We need to build the children and around us in the community to show them the possibilities of just being dreamers. I love dreamers because a dreamer is somebody who's just unstoppable. They'll go at any length to tell you and show you that they can do something. So that is just my
mm.
understanding of just how self confidence can help you thrive, especially in this competitive world. So yeah, I think it's a
Exactly.
really good point. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
So
And I think that if we develop these hacks, when we imagined them with Mirabelle, it was more like teacher oriented, but like you said, it starts at home. So
yeah,
people who have children, even younger children, it's always important to realize that building their confidence is important for them to acquire other skills. And I think it's the foundation of any kind of learning. It starts with you feeling confident that you can learn and you can grow from that learning.
yeah. And
So one
as
of
I
the
was going through this,
yeah.
when I was going through this, I was thinking, who is a teacher? Because our definition is so narrow. We think that a teacher is somebody who's in the classroom, standing in front of the kids and the teens and delivering something. But we are all teachers in our own right. We are teachers in the communities that we are in. We are teachers in families. We are teachers within our colleagues. So teaching is really broad. And wherever you are, you need to be able to be the best teacher that you can be.
Thank you for
Mm.
it's very very important. So the first point that we imagined was to listen to the children and your students and any child around you. In fact, when you live in a community-based society, you're kind of responsible for all the children around you somehow. So listening to them and to what they express with or without words is important. And when you pay attention to the details that they will use to express their creativity, to express themselves, when you pay attention to these kind of details, you're actually listening to the real message without the shyness, without the social awkwardness, without anything. And even a drawing from a child, even something that they would do in Scratch, for example, in Africa Code Week, we use Scratch. to teach coding, but also to help the children express their creativity. I think it's important for them to allow their subconscious to live and to be understood by the rest of the community.
I completely agree. So listening is a great quality, and not everybody has it. We tend to always want to speak, especially about ourselves. We always want everything to be about us, that focus. But when you listen, for me, it's a form of respect. You are showing the next person respect, and you are actually validating them. You are saying, you are
Exactly.
here. I see you. I hear you, and listening is just the greatest quality ever. And once you appreciate the power of listening, your learners will be able to even open up. They'll be able to express how they feel. One thing that reading between the lines, right? It's really important as well, especially if you are working with children. So issues such as bullying, you can just nip them at the bud. Like as soon as they start, if you are a great listener, your children will be able to approach you, your learners will be able to approach you and just express what they're going through, that learning journey. So I think listening is
Exactly.
really, really important.
Yeah,
So as a
it's an
teacher,
important one.
yeah, you need to pay attention to what uh, your learners are saying, even without them saying words. Like you were saying, there's so many things, actions that you can read that will ultimately tell you that you are listening to what they have to say.
What kind of actions, for example? What kind of
Um,
details we can pay attention to?
for example, like a kid, like I was talking about bullying. If a kid is being bullied, you can see this that the curve, like their confidence will go down. You can read that what do you call it, the non-verbal communication, so that
Mm,
little shrug, that little, so when you get time to listen, you can see all of these things, and it really improves the relationship between you and the learners.
mm.
Yeah.
One of the other hacks that we found, it's not a real hack, but like when you encourage your learners, we've seen that you can actually listen to them, but when they're given an assignment and you want them to feel good about what they're doing at the moment, it's always nice to encourage them and to value their efforts, even though they didn't do everything correctly, or they didn't do they didn't complete the assignment, or they didn't succeed in every single point that was to be given. Then, when you celebrate the little steps and everything, every milestone, or like they got to something, they understood a little bit of what you were saying, even that is worth celebrating, because if you don't, then maybe for them it was something big and they didn't feel like it was big in the end, and the confidence goes down a little bit. I don't know if you experience this as a trainer.
Yes. So encouraging your students comes from the little things, even. So from the
Mm,
words that you speak. So it could be you did wrong or you can do better. So
mm,
there has to be that balance that, you know what, you can actually do better than this, and I'm here to help you be that better person. So I've
mm,
also realized that students are encouraged not only by words but by the power of storytelling. So if you're going to
really.
encourage, yeah, if you're going to encourage the learners that, you know what, for example, if you do good in this and this, you can eventually become, say, a pilot. Let's say maybe somebody has a dream of becoming a pilot, but they don't know how to go about it. They think, oh my, that is just a dream. But if you bring the power of storytelling and tell them that there's somebody like you who lived in the same circumstance and they became a pilot, for them it's like, wow, that little bulb, it tells them, so if this person was able, if Ahang, let me know go far, if Ahang has been able to do one, two, three, it definitely means that I can do it as well, because I'm growing up in the same environment that Ahang grew up in. I'm studying the same subjects that Ahang studied. I mean, so they get to appreciate that everything is possible. So once you encourage them, they intentionally push to become better versions of themselves, because they're not only
Exactly.
reading about things or seeing it on TV. They know somebody who has lived that
Mm.
life, and that they're encouraged by that.
It's
Yeah.
also the
So
power of role models, right? When you want to
exactly.
encourage someone, you can either set yourself as a role model or find someone in the community that can act as such.
Yeah. So that is,
I don't know if it's
yeah.
something that teachers do all the time, but maybe from children in remote communities or from areas where they don't feel like they have a future, it's always nice to open up their perspectives and say, hey, someone that lived in the same reality, achieved something that you too want to achieve, or dream that you could someday achieve. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
something.
And the thing is, even teachers need that encouragement. Teachers need role models.
Hmm.
They one thing that I really appreciate about Africa Code Week is this community that they've built. Just last year, when you had that workshop that brought teachers across the continent, they went to Morocco. Um, they
Mm-hmm.
got to appreciate what the next teacher is doing. They got to appreciate how delivery in Morocco is different from delivery in Botswana. So in that way,
Mm.
they're role modeling, they're being encouraged, so that when they come back to the classroom, they are better teachers, they can relate better, and even they can
Mm.
have this within themselves, this self personal development to say, you know what, I didn't become a teacher by mistake. Because we know
Mm.
across the continent, teachers forever, it's a struggle. Sometimes they don't have enough resources to deliver the curriculum. Sometimes they feel like they don't get appreciated. It's really tough. But when you have that community to say, to appreciate the bigger picture of teaching and
Mm.
learning, of education, you encourage both the learner and then the teacher. So it complements each other, and then
Yeah.
you can get that balance. Like a teacher who's encouraged is definitely going to trickle down to a learner who is super encouraged.
Mm.
Yeah.
So what we're seeing here is that it's both a growing journey for the teachers and the students.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
what is our next one? The next one is to
The
communicate.
communication.
The big one.
This one
The
is
big
huge.
one. This It's huge. It's huge, but
Yeah.
it's so central. It's so
Yeah.
central. Like if you in any relationship, even if it's a teaching relationship, it's a personal relationship, if you don't communicate, you're going through a wall.
Yeah. Definitely.
So especially for teachers with whom the students spend a lot of time as they grow up. When I think about my school years, I pretty much spent like 8 days, 8 hours a day at school with teachers. So these were my main interactions of the day. And
Yeah.
it's important for teachers to understand that students should feel like they can talk to you. They should feel like they can establish a healthy communication with the teachers in order for them to clear any doubts, any issues, any concerns, anything that they would have in their mind, and that would, keep them from growing into, confident and educated adults. So if they had any questions, they should always reach out to the teacher. And the teacher should also try and be there. And I understand it could be sometimes very hard in communities where teachers manage large groups of children. They don't have the means, they don't have the time, they have a very
Yeah.
large curriculum to teach. Um, but I also feel at the same time that it's a wise investment of time and energy to establish a healthy communication with the class. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be a communication with individuals if they don't feel like they're comfortable, but like maybe organize once in a while a a circle or a group where they could speak and raise any issues, and the teacher should and could be um, informed of whatever is going on in their students' lives. If, say, I don't know, a student has lost one of their relatives, or parents don't have any job anymore or the family is struggling, it is something that can affect learning. So maybe teachers should be aware that the mental health and confidence of their students also relies on their ability to talk to their teacher, right?
Yeah. So I think as teachers need to be approachable
Mm,
within, within everything. We are trying to cover the curriculum, the syllabus. We have time,
mm,
but there should be safe spaces. And this is not only the responsibility of the guidance and counseling section. Teachers should be equipped with the sensitivity, and it's not easy, by the way, to create
mm,
a safe space for kids. It's not always easy, but kids should be able to, from time to time, to feel vulnerable and appreciate that they'll be listened to, like we said, but also that they will not be judged. If
mm,
you are in the safe space, you can ask questions, be free to, to be advised accordingly. But the judgment aspect is really, really important. So you need to build that communication structure, which is really the pillar of everything. Because if you don't have that communication link, then there's communication breakdown and everything just goes all over the place. So teachers need
mm.
to be very approachable, but the learners need to be that if I'm vulnerable, if I need to express myself, I will not be judged. So these are the key points that really come out of
Safe
this.
space.
Yeah, safe spaces.
How do you practically, if we want to get into practical things, how would you create a safe space in the classroom?
I think just that concept that you can say anything, okay, within reasonable acceptance, of course, without being judged. I think the judgment aspect creates the safe space. A safe space for me would be a place where I know that my opinion is going to be respected, my feelings are going to be validated, and although I might be wrong, I'm going to be corrected in a way that is respectful.
Mm,
It's that trust that we need to build within the teacher and the learner relationship.
mm.
And by the way,
And
like I said, it's not always easy.
no, no, it's not always easy because
Yeah.
as students grow into teenagers, from kids to teenagers, the judging
Yeah.
part,
Yeah.
the judging part becomes, hard
Yeah.
to manage. And,
Yeah.
teenagers are always quick to criticize and,
And
you
they're trying to
know,
be cool and
kind of
this. So
mock
you need
their
yeah. So you need to get to that
yeah.
level of, you need to understand the way that they're thinking and that they're reasoning so that you can get to that level,
Mm,
at the same time elevate them to show them that it is more than all
yeah.
of this. Yeah.
So what kind of activities, like for example, if I was a teacher, I would probably organize like a debate club or any type of discussion activities where everyone's opinion is valid and everyone's opinion is worth, listening to. Kind of teach the class this culture of listening, which was our first point, which is a big one. And if
Yeah.
we can actually how should I say that? If we can actually influence their development into respecting adults, people who would respect one another, we would listen
Mm.
to one another, then perhaps in the next generation and the one after, we wouldn't have to, send out life hacks for for a more
Exactly.
positive,
So it
classroom.
starts now. It should start now so that it becomes normal. Yeah.
Yes, oh my God, communication, big one. Uh,
Yeah. Huge.
and then after you manage to communicate with your class and you listen and you prove them that you're worthy as a teacher, perhaps you might want to connect with them on their own center of interest. Because I think one of the major issues that we were discussing with Mirabel is that we're facing kind of a generation gap. There's a new generation of teachers who are coming, but they're very young and they have not much, they don't have much experience in the classroom. But
Mm.
those who are older and have more experience, unfortunately, sometimes, most of the times, are from a different way of seeing things, and they don't really connect with their students on their own center of interests. I'm talking about social media, I'm talking TikTok, WhatsApp, mobile phones, you name them, uh, hoverboards, whatever. But this is what they like. And perhaps once in a while, it would be cool to not disregard what they like and make it valid. You don't have to adhere, you don't have to create your own TikTok account, but maybe if you acknowledge that it exists and it's relevant for this specific generation that is coming, well, maybe it would help, melt the ice a little bit and have conversations that would be more meaningful, and then the students could feel like what they like is not irrelevant to their development. It can be used to teach them relevant things, but it is not to be discarded, it is not to be disregarded and be like, yeah, just kid stuff and
Yeah.
move on to academics and whatever.
So learning should be fun and easy. So learning, the delivery should be fun. Let me just give you an example, especially as we talk about like area of interest. When I was growing up in the classroom, I think I found a book in the library or something that I used to see on TV. I was really, really interested in space. I was interested in astronauts. I was like, NASA, this. So I'm somebody who's really passionate about aviation and space. And it's only that now that I'm actually venturing into, as a grown up, I'm actually learning about all of it. So back then there was that disconnect. I felt you would feel like you're crazy, especially with the generational gap. So right now it's really important to appreciate how these young learners appreciate to learn and the way that they want to learn, and so that it can be very easy for them to grab the concept. So it should be that there should be that level of interest, especially from the teacher, to say, guys, what's new? Because sometimes we just bring things to our learners. Sometimes you need to step back
Yes.
and say, what's new? How do you think we can deliver this concept better for you? So
Yeah,
kids
involve
have
them in the
great ideas.
conversation.
Exactly. They have great ideas that are very innovative, and you'll be surprised that they're the very people who will improve your teaching and delivery.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
this is exactly why this year, Brandon Smith, who wrote I know, Brandon. I'm pretty sure you know
Yeah.
Brandon.
Yeah.
He wrote the Scratch in the Classroom guide for teachers to integrate coding into the classroom and not, teach coding as an extra subject in school, but rather, use coding to deliver, math, algebra, geometry or geography or whatever. And then it's like 7 projects. And what he was telling us the other last week on the last Monday talk is that he believed teachers and students could work together on one project for some time and develop knowledge, and it was built in such a way that the students would also contribute to building the project. And I think when you connect with them in their world, right, in the digital world, you can actually make it fun, you can actually make it in such a way that they will remember what you just said, because otherwise they have like a gazillion classes and
Yeah.
it's only 10 15 years in their lifetime.
Mhm.
So I don't remember all of my classes, sorry. I remember the ones where I was involved and where I was creating something and where I was bringing something to the table. And this
And
is
you
what
felt
I remember.
appreciated for it. Yeah.
Felt
So.
appreciated. And for example, I
Mhm.
remember an art class where I used chemistry knowledge to build to burn something with purple flames or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I had to go to the lab and then go back to the art class and whatever. And then my chemistry teacher was super excited about my art project. And I was like, whoa, 2 topics coming together that had
Nice.
nothing to do with one another, right? And
Yeah.
then he was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And then we video recorded it. And so I was active. asked about my way of doing things, and I was able to combine two things that I loved, which was science and art. And
Exactly.
we should try, maybe, I think, to connect the worlds, right? And
Yes.
if the digital world exists, it's because more academic knowledge was acquired in the first place. So we need to have them understand that it's not irrelevant to play on your smartphone once in a while, but perhaps you might want to know how your smartphone was built and who built it first.
Exactly.
So
And it comes
make
back to
learning
just,
fun.
yeah, it comes back to just teaching kids discipline.
Mm,
If a kid is taught how to explore and be disciplined at the same time, you can
exactly.
trust them to just appreciate everything that they're learning. You can trust them to have your smartphone and you know that they're using it the correct way. So yeah,
This
it's
is
all about
true.
discipline at the end of the day. Yeah.
This is so true. And then the last one of my favorites, is trust. So trust your students, trust your learners, your children. They are beings, they are humans. They have what it takes to become the best version of themselves. And our role as adults and trainers and teachers and parents, and I'm a mother, so it's my role too, is to put them in a safe and nurturing environment to grow into confident adults. We are only creating the framework of what they will be doing. We're building the canvas. And if you manifest that you trust them, if you tell them, if you show them, if you truly believe that all the potential to become confident adults they will eventually trust themselves, and they will make the entire community proud, because we will all be there to support their growth as adults.
This is very true. There's this saying that trust has to be earned. So
Mm,
yeah, so we need to. I don't know. Our kids learn mostly from observing. So one thing that
mm,
we need to ask ourselves as adults, as teachers, as parents, are we modeling the type of behavior that our kids can mimic? Are we modeling the type
mm.
of behavior that allows our kids and our learners to trust us? So if I don't trust you as my teacher, um, then why should I even try to be the best person that I can be? So I think
Exactly.
it should start with us, even by modeling the type of behavior that our students would appreciate. Yeah, and then they can earn our trust, we'll earn theirs, and then we can have this safe environment where learning can be fun all the time. Yeah,
Mm.
so those are just my quick thoughts on the issue of trust. And as
this is
well to
this is a
realize,
very good one.
yeah, we need to realize that there should be consequences. So um if I'm going to give you my trust and then you betray it, there should be consequences even within within the learning environment. Because once I take my trust away, it means that our relationship wouldn't just be built up as it
Yeah.
was. So once we don't model that trust behavior, it chips away at the relationship that we have in the classroom.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
So trust
It's also
is
a
really
matter,
important.
it's a human experience, I think.
Hmm.
The learning process is, we're saying with the 5 hacks that we just developed, is that there's also a learning journey inside, but as a teacher you need to question yourself and your reactions, and is my reaction appropriate? What am I showing? What
Hmm.
uh, am I an example? Am I a role model? Am I someone that they can relate to? Am I
Hmm.
someone that I can share, um, with whom they can share this journey, right? Because we're
Exactly.
both on the same journey, and every year with a different class, different challenges come. And then how do I repeat what I did last year, which was successful, and why is it not working this year? So
Mm.
it's a constant questioning of what we should do and how we should do it, right?
Yes. What works? How can we improve it? How can we be better at this? And if something
Mm,
works, then we should keep on doing it, improve on it. If something does not work, then out with it and then in with something that is both relatable
Mm.
for you and the learners as well. And one
And I think
important
it's
thing from this,
important
yeah,
to,
well,
yeah,
one
go ahead.
important thing from these notes is that once you are able to trust your learners, they're able to eventually trust themselves. So it goes back to the issue that
That's
it
true.
will build confidence. Yeah. Once a learner trusts their opinion, they trust their thinking, they trust their next step, then they become confident in what they do in the learning process. So they become better people for
Mm.
society eventually. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm.
It's interesting that we're having this conversation now because Africa Code Week is about to launch the second Women Empowerment Workshop. And last year, our journey was to bring 29 teachers from 15 different countries of Africa. And this year is going to be a bit different. And we can't wait to tell you more about this because the Women Empowerment Workshop is quite an experience if you ever lived it. I know Botswana sent someone last year. That was Tebi, right?
Yes.
So she come back with new insights from the different teachers that she met in
Oh
Botswana
yes. Oh,
in the
and the
workshop.
the thing was just the sharing part of it. What she had learned, what she had experienced, and like I was saying earlier, what other people are doing differently that she could
Mm,
possibly learn from. So I think it's a personally enriching venture, but it's also just professionally, it's on another level because it's just
mm,
that injection that you need, that energy that you need to say, you know what, I'm not a teacher by mistake. I'm here to impart knowledge. I'm here to share, to learn, to grow.
mm.
Yeah. So education is it's a really beautiful journey. And as a
I have
teacher, you get, yeah,
There's
you get to
someone
learn and
in the
see. Yeah.
audience who was also
Yeah.
at the Women Empowerment Workshop. Hi,
Nice.
Zaida. I will allow her to speak if she
Awesome.
wants to. Hi, Zaida. You can unmute yourself. Hello.
Hi, Alice. How are you?
How are you, my dear?
I'm good in yourself.
Very good. So I'm so
I'm
glad
lis-
that you were able to join this
I'm I,
discussion.
I'm listening in and I'm jumping of joy because everything that you guys are saying, that's exactly what I use in my classroom. And I'm like, yes,
Oh,
yes.
wow.
Finally, people that understand what needs to be done in the classroom for these kids to be themselves and to reach that that potential that we see in them. You understand what I mean? So I'm so glad that the platform has been put so that we can also hear from other people, from other experts, from other people who've experienced being in a classroom, and they can share their
Mm,
knowledge so that we as teachers also can improve ourselves. So I really am so
mm.
grateful for such programs, Alice. You guys are doing such an amazing job. I cannot express
Thank you.
enough how helpful this is, especially during this pandemic. Everything is so uncertain for
Mm,
teachers. They're questioning their abilities. Can I? So it's very, very important to
mm,
supportive structures out there that can reassure you as a teacher to say, you know what, you've got it, you can do it. Just readjust
mm.
yourself there and there, and you can smash it. So you guys, I really need to give you props. You guys are doing a fantastic job. I cannot
Thank you,
express
Zaida.
myself enough. Thank you so much
Thank,
for
thank
everything.
you. Thank you, Zaida, and thank you for being the teacher that you are. To those of you who don't know Zaida, she was the South Africa representative for the Women Empowerment Workshop last year. So she represented South Africa. She is part of the Siafunda Community Technology Centers, and they work with underserved communities in South Africa. They're doing an amazing job at reaching out to and teaching, coding and tech to children who would normally never touch a computer. And she's also an extraordinary teacher, and we have great discussions on positive education. And I think bringing this conversation to the table now is important because the pandemic is showing us that everything needs to be considered differently, and it needs to be, by different standards. And if it's the right time to open the debate on, the influence of the teacher in the classroom in terms of mental health and the psychological balance of their students and learners, then I think it's a good thing, right?
Yes, 100%. I couldn't agree more. I mean, you guys are highlighting the very struggles of teachers. You know, now we're not only
Mm.
dealing with our normal social disadvantages that children face, but now we have to add the pandemic on top. You know, children are losing parents, friends, families, grannies. You know, teachers. So it's like, you know, I was listening when you guys were talking about mental health. You know, this is something that we don't really get to talk and discuss, especially in the classroom environment for
Mm.
children, you know. So when you, like I said, I posted in a comment on Facebook to say it is very important for me, especially, to have a morning circle with my kids. So I get to ask them, how you
Right.
feeling? What do you want to share? What's on your mind? What, you know, that
Mm.
allows also for comprehension within the children. They're able to communicate within their peers to be like, oh, on this weekend I had this, I had, so that it creates an atmosphere of interest in someone else other than myself. So I'm able to
Mm.
listen to someone else other than myself. So meaning that I'm able to learn from someone else as well, you know. So that's very important.
It's positive. What you're doing is really cool, right, Ahan?
That's amazing. Really incredible.
And how
Thank
many
you.
students do you have at the same time, Zeta?
Right now we've cut down in class. Normally we have about 26, but because of the pandemic and we want to do social distancing, so per class we have about 13 to 14
Mm.
students.
Good.
So each child gets the opportunity to. It doesn't matter what time I get to see them. We still have the morning circle. Even if it's afternoon, we call it an afternoon circle, and we get to upload whatever it is. Because for me, I realize, you know, as much as we are here to impart knowledge and everything, I just think as teachers, if you're a teacher out there, the first thing you have to be is to be a parent. That's the
Mm,
first thing. Whether the child is binded by you with blood or not, or DNA, it doesn't matter. The first thing you have to be when you get into a classroom is to be a parent. And with being a parent, you have compassion, you have empathy, you have sympathy. You are able to try and make a child feel comfortable. You know, there's
Mm.
a certain comfortability that is needed for a child to feel like I can thrive in the classroom, you know. And we need positive reinforcements. And I listened to a teacher. She was explaining, like, you know, sometimes we have to teach children how to take responsibility. So if you're going to say you're going to do something, you don't do it, there has to be consequences for you not doing what you say you're going to do. So it
Mm.
allows them to be
That's what you
responsible
just said,
members of
Ahang.
society.
yeah.
Yes, you're right.
Mhm.
It allows them to go out there and be like, if I say I'm going to do something, then I have to keep to that. I cannot go around
Mm.
saying I'm going to do this and I don't do it and there's no repercussions. You know,
Mm.
there's no consequences for that. You see.
Yeah,
So
and self-confidence is also carried by the
yes,
community, like you said,
yes.
especially in countries where the power of community is still alive, right?
Mm.
If you think about more industrialized societies, the power of community is a bit different. It has shifted differently. But I think in
Mm.
Africa, in different parts of the world as well, the living power of the community is still important to structure the life of somebody in that
Yes.
community. So when you say that as a teacher, you also have to be a parent, it just shows your community vision of teaching. And I think this is what is relevant in this conversation when it comes to Africa. What do you think, Ahang? Is it the same in Botswana?
It is. I think culture continues to be like the pillar of everything that we do. I was actually
Mm.
talking earlier about how timid we are in celebrating who we are or who we are, where we are trying to get to. So I think
Mm.
the community is really, really, really important because that's where you are born, that's where you grow up. They
Mm-hmm.
define who you are on so many
Mm-hmm.
different levels. So I think teachers within our communities, teachers at home, parents like USA, parents, you need to be a teacher part slash parent or parent slash teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to come back to this community to realize that it is the backbone of everything
Mm.
that we are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
Wow,
I agree.
this is so true. And when you apply these tricks that we unveiled, this kind of advice, 5 pieces of advice that we just gave, even if you are a parent or a teacher, or even a grandmother, or anyone who supports the development of a child, it's important to understand that it's also a personal journey for you, and that you will grow as a person as you try to help them grow, right? And it's a two people journey. I experience it with my daughter. It's two people journey. Every time I teach her something, she teaches me back the same thing. I remember telling my mother that she had no patience. She was just a baby. I said, "Oh my God, she has no patience, everything." And my mom was like, my mom was like,
I
"Look
wonder who
who's
she learned
talking."
it
And
from.
I was like, "What?" And she was like, "You have no patience either." And I was like, "She's gonna teach you too."
Yeah, it's
And
true,
this is
eh?
true. This is so true. Like, I teach her to wait, and I have to wait at the same time.
Mm,
And I'm like,
mm.
and I need to be positive about it. So I learn too, and I
And
kind of
and
loosen up.
and I think that's where parents sometimes might fall short, because you're trying to instill certain rules and ways of life into your child, yet you're not modeling those
Exactly.
things you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
teach. So the
Exactly.
same thing, you're talking about patience. If you're trying to teach a patience, you have to be a model of patience. If you want to teach about love and
This is
Yeah,
community,
so true.
you have to be the model of that. So she will
exactly.
This is
copy.
so true.
You don't even have to drill it in her head. When she sees you doing it, it will naturally be that aha moment to say, that
Mm,
seems good. If my mom does it and it is a good thing, that it certainly means it's a good thing. Hence, people
And
have
it's
to
the
be
same for
careful what
teachers.
they say, what they do, and how they act in front of children, because that's what children will morph into. They will see it and they'll react it, you know.
Exactly. And even if
Mm.
it's not something academically related, especially if
Yes,
it's not
yeah.
yes,
something academically
Yes.
related, it can be body
100%,
Mm,
language, it can be
100%.
anything. If you get mad at something, and then they will
Mm,
understand that it's okay
mm,
to react that
mm,
way, and they will
mm,
replicate it in the end. If you're a teacher who, for example, if you correct tests and you
mm,
hand in them late, then the
mm.
child understand that
yeah.
it's
So why should I
okay to
bother
not
bringing
It's
it
respect
on
okay.
time?
deadlines.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%,
Exactly.
100%.
I had a teacher like that. One teacher, when I was 15, didn't even bother to correct them. And he was like, "Oh, I forgot them in my
Mm,
car." And then
and
I said, "Then why should I complete this
mm,
assignment that I didn't do it?" And
100%,
I was like,
you know?
"Right?" So I was trying to
Oh,
teach my
Yeah.
teacher, but that's a
yeah.
different
Yeah.
story.
And you
Like,
know, the weird thing is, like, now you are aware of what, but then I think when you were younger, you didn't see it as like a teaching moment for you. You just saw it as like, if she doesn't care, why should I? Right?
Yes.
But now
exactly.
that
Mm,
you are older, you're able to put like that idea into it, to say,
Mm,
okay, this is what happens. If you model something, I will initially, I will do the same thing, you know.
exactly.
So kids are very, I always say, and I get them at a very young age. I get them at the age of 5 and 6, so they're still very young. For me, the my priority is making sure that whatever I plant into these kids, I will be proud of it once I see it growing. You know, the
mm,
one thing I don't want to do
mm,
is plant a seed that is going to destroy communities. That is, and I don't want to destroy a child's life by being negative with everything. See,
Mm,
the problem with us as adults is like, we're so quick to criticize everything, right? And the minute they
that's true.
do anything good, something good, we don't come out and say, wow, well done, you've done a great job, and I think next time you can do
Mm,
even better. But we are always so quick to be like, no, that's how, no, you don't do it like that, you can't do it like that, you shouldn't do it like that.
mm,
Always so quick to criticize, but we're
mm,
not building, we are breaking
that's
down.
true.
So once we stop the breaking stage and start building these kids, I was, even today we we're having this, scratch, and I was telling these kids, in order for you to be anything in life, first you have to have confidence in yourself. How you
mm,
speak, how you represent yourself, you have to nail it. You cannot come out and be like, oh, my name is Zaina. No, you have to be like, hey, my name is Zaida. Even if it doesn't make sense to anyone, if it makes sense
mm.
to
Mm,
you, be confident about it and own it.
That's true.
So
Thank you
true.
so much,
So true.
Zeta, for sharing this. This is so
Thank
true.
you.
And in fact, the title of this conversation is to build confidence and not break it, of course. Thank you so much, Ahang and Zeta, for this amazing conversation. That was a very, very good one.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.
Can I say something? Just something.
Yeah,
One
go
last time.
ahead.
Yeah.
Go
So I
ahead.
just
We have time. Go ahead.
I just wanted to talk to everybody about the tough times that we are going through. That they just need to just hold on just a little bit, just a little bit. We'll be fine. We will be fine. Because everywhere you look, it's just nothing is giving hope. So I was listening to this
Yeah.
author just not so long ago, one of my mentors, and he was saying, you know what happens when fishermen can't go to sea? They don't just sit and fold their arms. They take their nets and they start mending them. So we are at these times where we just need to gather all our nets, sit down and mend them, so that when we are ready
Yeah.
for sea, we can just go for the biggest catches that we'll possibly get. And to teach us in Botswana,
This is
we are
fantastic.
yeah. So we'll be fine. We'll be fine. To teach us in Botswana, the registration for the TTTs, train the trainer, trainings are still going on. Go to the Clicking Generation page, register your interest, share with your colleagues. We have a session on the 30th of October, and I'll be very happy to see all of you there. You don't have to be a teacher. You can be somebody who just want to explore Scratch. You want to explore how you can deliver coding to your class or introduce coding to your class. So we are having fun. Join us. Come on Friday.
And coding is
We'll be
fun.
coding is fun. Oh my word.
100%.
Coding is fun.
It's
Coding is fun.
100% fun. 100%
There's
fun. It's the best
also
program out
the
there.
Africa Code Week app. The Africa Code Week app is available for downloading.
Yeah.
So I've put the scan the QR code here. It's available. It's on Google Play Store. It's only for Android right now, but all feedback is more than welcome. And then we can maybe consider, developing it under iOS if necessary. But you can also follow our journey on the website. We'll be talking about the Women Empowerment Workshop very, very soon. And
So excited about that.
I want, yeah, I know. I want to thank
Looking forward to it.
Ahang. Ahang, thank you so much for coming to this talk. It was a brilliant one. Zeta, thank you for being here as well.
Thank you so much.
And we're still sending our warmest thoughts to Mirabel, who couldn't be with us. But we think about Nigeria, and Nigeria is in our thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
our prayers.
yes, definitely.
That's true. Sending so much love to the Africa Code Week family, and I'll see you guys on the next Monday talk.
Thank you, Alice.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.